This podcast was written and created by Avi Melamed, Middle East intelligence analyst and founder of the Inside the Middle East Institute.
Avi Melamed is exploring with us the current U.S.-Israel-Iran war that started on Saturday morning, February 28th, 2026. Let's dive in.
Yeah, it is. That's quite a heavy moment. We are exactly 48 hours into this conflict right now, and the geopolitical landscape is, well, it's pretty unrecognizable compared to last week.
Right, we've seen these massive strikes on Iranian soil, and of course the biggest shockwave being the death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei.
Exactly. But looking through Avi Melamed's analysis, the most glaring detail isn't really the noise of those attacks. It's the silence following them.
The silence of the proxies.
Right. You look at that ring of fire Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Iraqi militias, the Houthis in Yemen. I mean, conventional wisdom was always that if you touch Tehran, the whole region explodes.
And Avi Melamed identifies this as the central puzzle here. The supreme leader is gone, and yet these groups remain surprisingly passive. It feels like a massive failure of investment, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Avi Melamed points out that Iran poured tens of billions into these groups.
Yeah.
And this wasn't charity. It was an insurance policy.
An insurance policy that just failed to pay out.
Yeah. Because Avi Melamed notes the primary goal was deterrence, preventing an attack on Iranian soil in the first place. That obviously failed.
And the secondary expectation was that if war did break out, they would counterstrike. You know, Hezbollah from the north, militias targeting the Gulf, or the Houthis closing the Red Sea.
But instead, they're just sitting on the fence. So we really need to get into the why of it all.
Right, and Avi Melamed suggests that local politics are actually trumping ideology here. Let's start with Hezbollah.
Well, Avi Melamed argues that Hezbollah is essentially battered. They're still recovering from previous conflicts with Israel, and their infrastructure is weak.
But the bigger constraint is the Lebanese street, right?
Exactly. The domestic pressure there is just immense. They know another full-scale war wouldn't just hurt Israel. It could literally end Hezbollah's political dominance in Lebanon.
As Avi Melamed puts it, they can't afford to burn the house down right now.
No, they really can't.
Then you have the Iraqi militias. I actually assumed they were the most ideologically aligned with Tehran, but Avi Melamed notes they are in a real bind.
Yeah, because they became almost too successful. They integrated into the Iraqi government. And Avi Melamed points out that political legitimacy comes with handcuffs.
Right, they have to coordinate with a state that needs to function alongside U.S. interests.
Plus, you have the Shiite majority in Iraq becoming increasingly vocal against Iranian interference. They just have too much to lose at home to act as mere soldiers for Tehran.
Now, the Houthis surprised me the most in this report. Usually, they're the wild card.
Yeah, and this is where Avi Melamed's deep dive gets very specific. He points to the May 2025 agreement between the Houthis and the United States.
The de-escalation deal.
Specifically regarding the port of El Hudaydah. That agreement secured their control over a vital economic asset.
So Avi Melamed's assessment is that self-preservation has kicked in for them too.
Precisely. If they resume attacks, the massive U.S. military presence could take that port away. They're prioritizing their own assets over loyalty to the late Supreme Leader.
So across the board, we're seeing local assets currently being more important than central command. But Avi Melamed does offer a second possibility. Could this silence actually be strategic?
It's definitely possible. Avi Melamed calls it the keep your powder dry theory.
Meaning, even with Khamenei dead, the actual regime structure in Tehran is still standing.
Exactly. They might be making a calculated decision not to burn their proxy network prematurely.
A coordinated silence to save leverage for the next phase of the war?
Potentially. But Avi Melamed strongly warns that this is a very fragile status quo. If the war continues and Iran's core power centers take further damage, well, that calculation changes.
Right. If the regime feels its absolute survival is threatened, if the whole system starts to crack, they might demand total mobilization regardless of the local cost to the proxies.
And that is the real danger zone. The network hasn't been dismantled, it's just sitting on standby.
Which leaves you with a difficult question to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive.
It really does.
If the death of the supreme leader wasn't the red line to trigger a total regional proxy war, what actually is the red line that will finally force these groups to act?
This podcast is made possible by supporters like you. ITME is an independent, nonprofit institute committed to apolitical, intelligence-based Middle East education.
To learn more or to support our work, visit our website www.insidethemiddle-east.com.